Having difficult conversations is challenging for many of us because they tend to make us emotional. They tend to bring out parts of us that, well, we don't want to embrace. We don't want to accept kind of the deeper subconscious root of what makes us act the way that we do. And oftentimes the difficult conversations tend to be with people that know us quite well, and their data is quite accurate about our capabilities and also how our actions stack up against how we are expected to act or how we've acted in the past. My name's Tarab. These are Tarabify videos. Here I talk about emotional intelligence and some philosophy to get you to think, or at least give you some sort of catalytic thought in watching a YouTube video. So hopefully you understand that this is merely a discussion. I'm still trying to figure this stuff out myself. What I've realized about difficult conversations is that there are a couple graceful things that make them easier to happen. First, I think, is an understanding that there are two types of conflicts. There are conflicts that are task motivated, and there are conflicts that are relationship motivated. If we go into a difficult conversation with the mentality of relationship motive, meaning that we really don't like how that person's character is, we don't like how they present themselves in life, and we're kind of hedging all of our complaints and all of our potential improvements based on that dislike of someone's character or dislike of their actions, the productivity of the conversation can only be so much. Now, if it's for a situation where they're personally, morally complicating things and you don't agree with that, you want them to improve in some sort of way, say a family member, a child of yours, well, you got to have a little bit of relationship conflict, so be it. Raising your voice, however, in a situation where one could try to be a little bit calmer might be beneficial sometimes, but other times it might come off as not being very sure about our point. So how do we know when to engage in these conversations, and when do we know how to go about being loud and direct in our approach, or being passive and showing through action? These are all things that we worry about constantly because we want to make sure that we're doing a good job maintaining our relationships and also holding people accountable to a degree so that we're treated equally, we're treated well with respect. Now, the other one is a relationship conflict. Sorry, not a relationship conflict, a task conflict. So that is when we go and set out on a mission to accomplish a goal, a common goal. Now, this type of conflict tends to be more beneficial, mainly because we can take the personalities, the individuals out of it. Really, it becomes a more logical thing. We think to ourselves, okay, this is what's going wrong, this is the data, some ideas, some creativity, but really past experiences are going to show us most of the time how to come across that problem properly in an efficient, mature manner. And if both parties, or if all the parties in the room are concentrated on the task, it tends to get done very quickly, and most of the people in that conversation will walk out fairly satisfied on how it's turning out. Now, conversations have a lot to do, the tone of a conversation, the result of certain conversations tend to have a lot to do with the first two things that I talked about, the timing and the delivery, but also the culture of the place that you're trying to have this conversation in, the group that you're referring to, that we are talking about. Say if it's a family, where there's not really a hierarchical structure, but everyone's trying to improve and everyone's trying to just deal with everyone else's fallacies or improvements or suggestions. Or is it a office scenario where we have coworkers that we want to encourage to do different things, or that we've seen kind of getting out of line potentially? Maybe it's our employees that aren't acting the way that we want them to, or not performing at the level that we want them to, and we're confused and we're trying to discuss solutions, strategies that would make sense. All of it really boils down to whether or not we've set in motion the mentality of growth. And I was watching a podcast I guess, hearing a podcast with Andrew Huberman and Mr. Adam Grant, the writer of Think Again and a few other amazing books. And the conversation was about these conflicts and these biases, and also, well, it was very long, but the growth mindset culture is one that needs to be embraced by multiple people in a scenario, a setting, in order for people to feel safe, in order for people to feel respected and feel like they're actually growing in their current circumstance. And I've always advocated for this type of culture in literally every group that you could possibly be a part of. And the reason is because if we consistently feel that we are respected, if we consistently feel like being a part of a human social group is actually better for us, improves our soul, makes us happier, healthier people, then we're going to keep wanting to come back. In fact, we'll get to a point where we want to invest significantly, hopefully, in that group because of how much is given us, because of our gratitude for the people that exist in it. And this type of culture makes it a lot easier, in my opinion, to have those difficult conversations because we're not so worried about the relationships because we're more worried about, we're already good with the people. People are okay. We're more worried about giving everyone the tools that are required to make them capable of getting to the next level, to make them understand that their strengths can be utilized in more efficient manners potentially, or that their weaknesses can be masked by other people's strengths, and to work together, to work closer, to come up with strategies and systems that actually make sense, are actually doable. The culture helps a lot. But that doesn't take away from the first 2 points, the timing and the delivery. And I've talked to a lot of people over the years, some personal, some friends, some people that just asked me out of the blue, about the delivery method, the communication style. So I will say that I value communication because obviously it's a part of emotional intelligence, but literally the most successful people on the planet say time and time again, you want to make yourself more valuable in society, in life, you improve your communication skills, period. You can do that. Opportunities are going to be at your door all the time. Conversations are going to be way easier. You're going to get a lot more of what you want in life just consistently because it's all human. It's human currency. It's human capital. Like, that's the stuff that's the most important to us for the most part. Like, there's spirituality, there's nature and stuff, but humans are predominantly what form our judgment of the world because we're everywhere and we're doing a lot of things. But if we can understand how to communicate with other human beings, if we can understand how we make people feel, we're going to be in a much better position. So, a difficult conversation. What are the steps that I take to have a difficult conversation? I tend to be fairly direct with my criticism, with my suggestions. And the reason is because I want people to take me seriously. I want my suggestions to not just come off as, I just kind of thought about this, but really something that I've thought about, because most of the time it is. And I think a lot of times people don't take themselves seriously, don't have enough value in themselves to actually throw out suggestions in a way that seems that the person throwing out that suggestion actually respects themselves, actually has thought about an idea. So I think it's very important to really think through what it is that we're trying to communicate to that person, and whether or not we are looking at it at the right scale, whether or not we are approaching it in the most efficient manner. Now, an example of this is, say, for instance, there is a circumstance where someone assumes that the problem is in an action that they are taking. The problem in a relationship or in any scenario is a problem with themselves, the action that they're taking themselves. Now, if they approach the entire conversation with trying to say, I'm going to improve these things, I'm going to do this and that, and the underlying reality of the problem is actually the person that they're talking to, is actually the other individual, the actions that they consistently do, the data that stacks up in their favor, or really against them in this circumstance, then not only will an ingenuine solution come to par, but also something that really won't work. What I'm trying to say is, if we don't know the core of the issue, and we don't know what solution is going to hit that core properly, then having a difficult conversation is just going to turn into not being very unsure about where everything stands, and really complicate matters, get matters out of hand. We'll say things that are out of whack. We'll bring in random data points that don't have anything to do with the situation. We will prolong the discussion because we don't know exactly where we're trying to head. Important to realize, think about it beforehand. And the rule of thumb that I usually go with is, if it needs to happen right there and then, take a couple minutes, breathe, figure it out. If it doesn't need to happen right there and then, sleep it off. Let your subconscious mind mull over the issue. Really give yourself some time to think about, what is the grander thing? What is the thing that's going to give you a solution that will make everyone happy in this circumstance? So that's delivery. That's, that's actually timing. That's timing, right? Knowing when to strike when you've done enough thinking. The delivery is going to come down to the person you're talking to and the dynamic of our relationship with that person or people. Now, if we're in a relationship where it's a hierarchy and we're somehow above in any capacity, then it would behoove you to present yourself as a humble, understanding person. I don't believe cultures of fear work very well. I believe that positive reinforcement is the best way to get people to change, and it's because, well, life's hard enough, and we want to hear compliments, and we want to hear solutions that we feel are benefiting us, not detrimental, not questioning our character or whatnot. So the delivery is going to come down to who we're talking to. If we're in a situation where in the power dynamics we don't have as much control, the same things apply. Staying humble, presenting our argument very logically because we've thought it through, is going to be super, super important. And staying patient in these scenarios is also very important, to a point. If you ever feel that you're being disrespected in any capacity in life, it is your responsibility to get to a position through your hard work and hopefully logic where that disrespect is not allowed. The reason is because if we're happy, if we feel respected, oftentimes we can give that to other people, and that actually forms that growth mindset culture that I was talking about. So the delivery is always going to depend on who we're talking to. But almost every single time, a delivery that is to the point, humble, and productive, meaning task focused, is going to be the most effective way to get the solutions that we want. Give people hugs, give them kisses, show the human side. Never, ever, ever forget that. Being a logic bully, being overly sure of our philosophies, like the stuff that I'm saying, that's going to leave us in a very sad and lonely position in life. So have these difficult conversations and realize that you mess one of them up, you mess another one up, it's fine. Life's difficult. And that's what we're here for, to learn. So hopefully you found this enjoyable. Smash that thumbs up button, helps me out a lot. Throw me a comment with something you're dealing with. Maybe I could help you out. And if you have a second, check out this video where I talk about nurturing our friendships, the importance of the people in our life. Actualize your potential, my friend. This world needs you. Take care.